I always feel like I put the mic down too far and then I'm like slouching to talk into it. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to How Do You Spirit? Today we were supposed to have our special guest, the owner of Cat and Cauldron, and we had to reschedule with him for next Tuesday. So he will be on next Tuesday next week at 1 p.m. So anyway, we thought, Chelsea and I thought that we would go live anyway. Excuse me. And just talk about some things.
Yeah,
and
we have a lot of important stuff, updates and
and I wanted to talk about my trip to Jerome, Arizona, and the haunted hotel, and just lots of things to chat about. Yeah. So we want to remind you, first of all, that you can find the podcast on any of the popular podcast platforms. So go search that out. We are on there. We're just not only on YouTube and the social media stuff. We are on all of the podcast platforms. So you can search us out there. We would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, right?
Yep.
And follow us. So we're on YouTube at How Do You Spirit. And then, of course, TikTok, Instagram. And we also have a new business Facebook page, How Do You Spirit?
You can find all the information on there.
Yeah. And that one's at Facebook at How Do You Spirit Team. So, excuse me, I am getting super choked up today. I don't know what's going on. I always get this way a little bit.
How long has it been since we went live last?
It's been, we went live last week, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. It just seems like forever ago.
I know. when we're not consistent or something, it's like something's missing, huh? It feels weird. Mm-hmm. Anyway, also today we are going to, if you have any questions, ask us one question. We'll take one question. We're going to pull a card. Chelsea will pull a card for that. And then we are going to see, I'm going to tune in and see what I get too. So think of some questions if you have some. We're going to answer those. And then we also have a certain topic today that we're going to be talking about. Also, the website, howdoyouspirit.com. Go visit us there. We put clips from our podcast on there. If you're interested in a reading, that's something I would really love to build up, is I want to start doing more readings for people. And even I want to start doing little psychic reading parties.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So
okay.
Maybe my max would probably be to start out with 4 to 5 people, but if you can gather a little group of friends together, reach out to me and let's have a party.
Yeah.
And I really want to start building that up too, so I can tune in my abilities and learn more from that side of it as well. We are also collaborating with the merch company, and I actually got an email from them this morning and with some preliminary designs, which Chelsea hasn't even seen yet.
No, I'm excited to see what you got.
And I'm so excited to show her that. So that's in the works. We have lots of stuff coming up. We're planning on visiting my son's condo on this Sunday to do a spooky video to find out who's haunting them. That is, if everything comes together, sometimes we get interrupted, but that's the plan for now.
And we give the YouTube some love. We do have a really cool video coming out that I'm currently in the process of editing.
Yes.
You went to a group home, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yesterday I went there with Taco, and the gal felt like there was some spirits around her, a spirit, and I don't want to give too much away, but that was really fun. I just videoed with my phone, and we walked through the home and found out some great information. It was all good too. It was all good. Yeah. So I want to start with first my trip.
Okay.
To Jerome, Arizona. We stayed in the Grand Hotel, which Jerome, Arizona is a little old mining town. They used to mine copper there. And of course, the mine's shut down now. But some of the structures there are like half there because they would just disintegrate over time from them blasting the mine to get the copper and stuff out. And it's all on a hillside. And some of the older buildings are like slowly like working their way down the hill, which is super scary. And the roads are really tight and windy. And we stayed in the Grand Hotel on top of the whole hillside. So you could see the whole town from the top. And the closer we got to the hotel, the road just kept getting skinnier and more windy. And literally, like, it wasn't pavement, like road pavement. It was like all bumpy. And like we got down to where it was one lane, one car. So kind of, yeah, sketchy. Anyway, we stayed there, and this hotel was an old hospital for Jerome, and it's rumored to be haunted. And we got there, we checked in, and the energy there was great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can always feel the negative. I'm going to turn this way a bit. But we walk in, the energy just felt good and happy, and all the staff and everybody was just so nice and friendly there. And we stayed in the Grand Suite, which is a huge suite. It had a full kitchen, big, huge dining room, living room, everything. It was grand. Anyway, we walk in, and it was, again, I felt really good energy there. I didn't feel any negative energy. And my husband, I was really hoping that he was really going to get scared. Like something would happen to really scare him into believing in ghosts. That didn't happen, but we did have a couple of incidents. They had the lighting there. All the lighting was on dimmer switches, and then there was a little switch at the bottom that you would turn on or off. So you could turn the light totally off.
Okay.
And we went to bed, and I turned both of the dimmer switches down for both of the lights in the bedroom, and I turned the switch in the off position. And my husband likes it super dark when he sleeps, so we don't have lights on. Anyway, I woke up. I'm guessing it was probably around maybe midnight. I woke up. And I opened my eyes, and the light in the middle of the room was on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was on, like barely there. And I'm like, oh, there's a ghostie in here. And I thought, should I turn this off? Well, and I did have a thought, maybe Chris left it on. No, he didn't leave it on because he wouldn't. No, because he doesn't like the lights on when he sleeps. So anyway, I just left the light on because I thought, I'm not going to get out of bed and waste my time and turn the light off because the little ghostie's just going to turn it back on again. So I left the light. And then it was, I think, about 3:30 when I looked at the clock. I had to get up because I had to go potty.
And did Carrie have her own room?
Carrie was outside, so it was like a little section. There was the kitchen with a door to a little section with a pop-down bed.
Okay.
And the bathroom was there, and then another door into the big bedroom where Chris and I were at.
Oh, okay.
And I had to go potty, and I got up, and yes, the light was still on in the bedroom. And I go out of the room, and I'm walking towards the bathroom, and the bathroom door was shut, like latched shut. And I'm walking, and I go to turn the doorknob, and there's light. You know how like a door, I look at the door frame. The door frame, you can kind of see through like where the door connects to the frame sometimes. I look, and there's light all around the door frame. Like there's a light on in the bathroom.
Okay.
And I'm like, somebody must have left the light on. And I open the door, and there are absolutely zero lights on in there. It was dark.
No way, for real?
Yeah. So there was light illuminating from the bathroom, but when I opened the door, there was nothing. There was dark. There was no lights on, nothing.
That's creepy.
So I'm like, oh, cool, because I get excited about this stuff. So anyway, I finish up, go back to bed, and then I woke up kind of in and out of sleep throughout the night, and I would hear like things moving around, but not in the room we were in, like outside.
Okay.
Like it almost sounded like it was coming behind us, like from the kitchen area or something. And I was, there's noises going on too. Anyway, that was about the extent of it. My friend did say they were staying, we called it the West Wing, on the whole other side of the room. She said that she heard noises, different things like that too throughout the night. She would wake up and hear, rustling or things like things were being moved around, not super loud, but just like somebody was movement, movement stuff. So that was pretty much the extent of it. Which is fine. But my husband, he got up the next morning and he's like, did you leave the light on? I'm like, no, the ghosties turned it on. And, he still doesn't know what to think. And I see him around the corner in the bedroom. He's playing with the light switches like...
He's trying to figure it out.
He's trying to figure out the explanation for the light coming on dim. And I said, I told you, it was off. And he just kind of, brushes it aside. But he kept going back to that light switch, playing with it to see if it would.
I could totally see him doing that too.
Yeah, because he's very analytical. Like he wants to know the answer, right? So anyway, that was funny. And he I was waiting to get so scared, I wanted a ghost to scare the shit out of me, basically. Well, that did not happen, but he was still like a little bugged with the light switch or the light coming on by itself. So anyway, it was fun though. It was a great time. Next time we go, we're planning on going back next year. And next time they do a ghost tour.
Oh.
And they give you an EMF reader and all that stuff to take. So it's a walking tour, and then they actually put you on a little bus or whatever, and they take you to the cemetery and stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So we are going to do that next time. They were booked, of course, for spooky month, but now we kind of know what to look for and what to do and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And you got really lucky getting that room.
Oh, yes.
Because they're usually booked out.
Yes, they are usually booked out a year and a half in advance in October. And Carrie, my sister-in-law, we called the hotel. This was a month ago. And this is another great story. I'll try to be quick. We called the hotel. Well, we looked online first. They had no rooms. We called them. I said, let's just call them and see if they have something available, because sometimes hotels do that. And the gal's like, no, we get booked out a year and a half in advance. And Carrie was like, do you have a waiting list? And the gal's like, yeah, you're number 8 on the waiting list. And this was on a Sunday when we called. And we hung up with the hotel, and Carrie's like, I'm putting it out there. We're going to be staying there. And guess what, guys? The hotel called us back on the next Tuesday.
That was so cool.
And we got the best room in the hotel.
Yeah, that was
the grand
that
suite.
Was crazy.
I know. So Carrie totally manifested that. She called that one, and it happened. And even while we were there, now that we're talking about this, we got, because parking is super limited there.
Oh.
And the parking lot by the hotel is teeny tiny.
Okay.
We got front row parking by the front door at the hotel.
Wow.
When
That's
we
lucky.
needed a ride down that night, down to town, we called the shuttle service, and the guy's like, oh, I'm making one more run and I'll be there in 2 minutes.
Wow.
So he shows up 2 minutes later, and let me tell you, this guy, his name was Scott. He was fabulous. He was fun and funny. And of course, I love the crystals. He had all the stones on, bracelets. Like, he had a ring on every finger. He had his turquoise earrings. He was amazing. Anyway, so that happened. We literally get a ride down the hill in 2 minutes. And then the next day, every restaurant we went in, the restaurants are teeny tiny there.
Yeah.
And every restaurant we went in, we got seated immediately. There was always a table waiting for us.
And were they busy? Like,
Yeah.
super busy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The town was super. That's one of the busiest times of year. And then the next day when we went down after we checked out of the hotel because we wanted to walk around in the shops, we went down and got a fabulous parking place again right away. So it's like,
It's almost like everything was working out so well.
it did. It worked out perfectly. And I kept reminding my husband, I'm like, see? Everything just falls in our lap. Like it just worked out. It was great. Anyway, it was a great trip. We're going to go back next year. We're planning it already.
Cool.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, so that was fun. I kind of was expecting a little bit more of the spooky, but that's okay. Maybe we'll get it next year when we actually do
feel
the
like
ghost tour.
It's rare to get something super spooky anyway when you are ghost hunting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. But again, it had great energy. It was a really fun place to stay.
I find that interesting because when I went to the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, that's how I felt there. Like it just felt super just calm and peaceful.
Yes.
And the environment, like it wasn't scary.
No, not at all. It wasn't scary at all there.
It's almost like the same feeling I get at like a graveyard, I would say.
Which is really bizarre. If I went to the graveyard, well, when I do, because I go visit my sister, anyway, I just get all buzzy because I can feel, the energy, the spirits and stuff. I don't necessarily get negative energy either, I guess, now that you think about it. It's just energy.
Yeah. And me and Steph, we went to this really old graveyard. It was just small, like when I was really young. And we kind of did a ghost hunt there with a group of people.
Yeah, just by yourselves?
Yeah.
Did you go at night?
Yeah, it was super fun. I miss her because she would always have something like that to do.
Yeah, something fun.
Yeah.
That's cool. So anyway, that was my ghosty experience at the Grand Hotel, and it was fabulous, and we're going back. So anyway, something that I wanted to bring up today, and Chelsea's like, wait, that's something I struggle with. Well,
because also I've been a bit more emotional ever since I got off my pills because it's almost like I'm not as numb as I was.
Oh, okay.
And so if I say I might get emotional if I say something that feels like, I guess, deep to me in a way, or I feel like I'm being vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about labels. And how through our life we pick up these labels, right? Maybe from a parent or friends, family, or just the general public, being out in public. Somebody calls you a name or something and you start believing it, and then we're labeling ourselves. Like maybe somebody that's heavier set, or they feel fat, or somebody even struggling with, bulimia, or, being too thin. Parents that call their children stupid, which
I don't understand
that. I have never understood that. Or parents being after their kids because they don't think they're doing something correctly or good enough. They're not living, the child's not living up to the parent's standards. So we absorb these labels all our life. It starts with, childhood. And then we have this label and we grow up, and then we probably acquire more labels. And then we're telling ourselves every day, I'm this, I'm that, I'm, whatever you think you've been labeled. And then we make up our own labels. And it's just this vicious circle and cycle of being labeled and labeling ourselves. And that's a tough one, I think, to get out of, I guess, not accepting those labels. And it's okay that we're ourself.
Yeah. And see, I struggle with all the labels that are kind of in today's society, because it's like, I understand like trying to find your identity in a way,
Right.
but it's not just like, it's more complicated. One label.
Well, look how much influence we have now with, the internet, the social
Yeah.
media, all of it. We have all these outside, like you have way more outside influences than I did growing up.
Yes.
We didn't have the internet. We didn't have all the, the whole world with the potential of getting labeled by who knows, who.
Right.
So there's just so many different ways that can affect us, especially with the social media, and people are just mean.
Yes. Even like the podcast not being super big yet, you've already experienced some type of like
100%
mean comment or whatever.
Yeah, we've had a couple on the YouTube channel, and guess what? I delete them and remove them and move on. Like everybody's entitled to their opinion, but we don't have to engage with their opinion or believe in the label, right?
Yeah. And first, before we get more started on that, I just want to say that Michelle says hi.
Hi, Michelle.
Well, she mostly said, haha, I found you guys finally. And then
thank you for always hunting us down. We so appreciate and love you.
She's so supportive. She's always like, when are you guys going live? And I'm
like, give me more.
I'm sorry. We're just like, we have a lot of like technical difficulties or people canceling. And sometimes, and it's just sometimes difficult to keep the schedule. And we're just doing our best.
Yeah. And, I would love to be able to say, hey, we're going live with so-and-so on this day and this time every week. But I just don't like to do that. It's just a mystery. That way, hopefully you all will keep paying attention more.
For real, yeah. Just pay attention. And the website, you can always see everything on there. Like you can have access to the YouTube, like all the platforms.
Yep.
And so just keep an eye out, and we'll try to keep it updated as much as possible.
Yeah, we are getting better. We're learning the ropes, but things happen, and the traffic here sucks. So when we're late, that's usually why.
Yeah, for real. And Doreen says,
yes, hi, Doreen.
Oh my gosh. She says hi, and then she says, oh my gosh, yes, the fat funny girl. It's hard. I did get a gastric sleeve, lost 100 pounds. You look fabulous, girl. And I've seen my best friend go through that whole process, and it's not easy.
Yeah. And I remember Doreen and she came to the house one time for a reading, and we had conversation a little bit about that and how she felt and stuff. And I'm not going to share any of it because I don't remember a lot of it. I remember bits and pieces, but I remember talking to you, Doreen, about that. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. And what she went through is she said that like your insecurities don't go away. Like,
no,
it's something you have to continually work through.
Because it's been imprinted in your mind for all this time. It's your label, right? We got to remove that label, peel it off.
Yeah, and you have to learn to love your new body too.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're never perfect.
No, we're never happy with our bodies, I feel like,
Well, and like you said, the social media and like we have this like idea that we have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot, just on like in the entertainment industry and just all of that. It's just really puts a lot of pressure on everyone.
Yes. And, the only person that we have to be perfect for is ourselves. If we feel good at, whatever body weight we are or whatever shape we're in, or if we like to eat a bunch of sugar and we're happy, then whatever, we have to love ourselves and be perfect and feel perfect to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And love yourself for sure. Yeah.
Jaleesa was also saying, that she got the same thing, the gastric sleeve.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And does Jaleesa feel like she still has an old label from prior to that?
Yeah, it would be. And you know what? Even when you're super skinny, because I got this a lot when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're going to blow away in the wind. And
Yeah.
that kind of, and I'm not like that skinny anymore, but that really affected my self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Or you look anorexic.
Yeah, because it's still the negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still a label. Again,
Mm-hmm.
still a label.
So it doesn't it feels like no matter what you do, you can never meet up to what you feel like everybody else's standards are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that goes with anything, like how you are as a person in general, or
Mm-hmm.
like the best thing to do is just try to accept where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Accept you for who you are and love yourself.
because it'll never be perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That is right. Do we have any more comments there?
Jaleesa says, loving your new body is hard.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Michelle says, I just love you guys. You're such an inspirational influence for me.
Oh, thank you.
And then Jaleesa says, I love and hate my new body because I get told all the time I'm too skinny now. It makes it hard, plus extra skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yep.
And I don't care for my stomach that much just because I've had kids, and it's
Same.
it's been a process for me, trying to learn to accept that. And I've actually been pretty consistent about working out, but I've seen changes in how I feel, but not necessarily a lot of physical changes, I would say.
Yes, I would much rather feel good, and feel energy and feel good and not tired. And I mean, I put that label on me and you. I apologize for that, but I would always say, we got grandma's poochy belly. Remember?
Yeah. Yes, I remember. But it's funny because, and it's not that, it's the extra, like Jaleesa was saying, the skin changes. That's the part that I have a hard time with.
Yeah.
But I've actually learned to love the little, that belly part, because it's actually really natural for women. And I think it's actually a really cute part of the body.
Yeah.
And I never felt that way until a few years ago, but
I have heard too that some men actually love when after women have children, how their hips spread.
yeah.
Mine spread a ton after Jeremy was born. I wore this tiny size in high school, have a baby, and I tried to put my pants on after I had him, and I got him up to just above my knees because my hips spread so much.
Your hips change.
Yeah, your body changes after having children or whatever. But yeah, that back to the belly thing and stuff. Yes, I've heard that men actually like that, and you've had children, your hips are wider, your belly might be a little bigger, or I have stretch marks and
Yeah, and that's another thing is I used to be so concerned about what men thought about me.
right.
And that I feel like as a woman, that's something we all
Absolutely.
like.
It's part of that feeling, wanting to be accepted, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel at the same
The plant's attacking her.
that women kind of put that on each other, because
yeah.
is that really how men perceive us? Maybe it's not as I mean there are some really crappy men,
Of course,
that'll judge you, but I feel like women can be just bad.
we're very judgmental on ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that does come a lot from the celebrity, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, how do you think, Chelsea, what do you think you could do to get out of or take those labels or take a label away? Like, what do you think would be helpful for you to, peel that label off as much as it might hurt?
I don't know. So, and this is too another thing why I'm kind of having like a hard time with this topic. You are my mom.
Yes.
Um, and I don't want to like you did the best you could, and I'm not like gonna like shame you for like doing anything, but
Right.
I feel like growing up, and this wasn't all you, but I always had to be super responsible.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Well, I had you at a very young age.
yeah, and I had a lot of siblings.
Yes.
Right? And so today I still struggle with that.
Really?
Mhm.
That you feel like you had to grow up too fast or just too much responsibility? Because I was a Nazi with because I was very hard on her and her brother with cleaning. Like, what define responsibility? Responsibilities.
So I really think I have ADHD.
Okay.
Sorry. See, I told you this was going to happen.
And maybe because I was wondering today what we were going to talk about about today, and this popped into my head. So there's obviously a reason for it.
There's I feel like a lot of people around me, like they live their lives and they can like do things like a lot easier.
Yeah,
And
I
like,
do see that
quicker.
that you struggle.
And I'm not like that.
Right. You're kind of I got to do things on my own time and when it works for me and when you have the energy to do it.
Yeah, and society, it's really hard living in a fast-paced society.
And I feel like recognized that in you more, and I hope you see that. Because I've tried to be sensitive to that. Yeah. So do you think you're going to move forward with something to confirm what you think?
The best thing that has been for me is just to realize that I am not like trying to live up to somebody else.
You're not,
especially if someone's like, oh, well, you should be doing it this way. And a lot of times, like, especially in work or just everyday situations, it's hard to like just like I would say live up to those standards and
or the labels.
Yeah.
Right? The other people's labels of what they think you should or should be doing or how you should be living your life.
Yeah. And I really struggle with like a regular job. And like you get praised for going in that direction.
Yeah.
And I've always struggled with it.
Yeah.
And I really think like my ADHD
has something to do with that. So when you say ADHD, like you have problems focusing, explain where you feel like this ADHD that you think you have affects you. How does it affect you?
So if I don't feel passionate about something,
you're not interested.
No, and I just can't. It's almost like it feels like if I have to do something like oh, let's say like tomorrow I go work at like some job I hate, right? And I'm like, I don't know, I just can't. It's hard for me to be really motivated.
Yep.
And then the job just never works out.
Yeah. I was that way in high school, actually. I hated high school
Mm-hmm.
because I was uninterested all the time. And if I got interested in something, I excelled at it. And so
Right.
I've seen that in all of you kids.
Yeah.
You know, even Colton, he'd go to school and just not do anything.
That's my son. And it's been really hard for me recently because I've had to help push him. And that's even hard because it's like I already struggle with all of these things.
Right.
But I have a child now.
Yeah.
And he struggles with the same things.
Yeah. So now what?
Right?
Yeah.
We've had multiple fights. It's been really hard.
Yeah. I know. I did that with you guys. At Colton, he just wouldn't do anything. And then he took a private investigator course or something, and then creative writing. And he'd get straight A's. And it's like, dude, you're failing all of your other classes. You're not doing anything. What's going on? And it's because he's uninterested.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decides I'm like, why are you going to school? Like you're going there. It's a social thing, which he's not that social anyway, or he wasn't. He just go to hang out with friends, and he's going. I'm like, okay, something's got to change here, because you're obviously not going to graduate this way. And so we talked to him, and we decided to let him, we got him out of school, and he decided he wanted to do his GED, and that's fine. And I remember we scheduled his GED, and there were a couple different times I had to take him to test. And they say, plan on, 3 hours for this test. I drop him off, and I'm just getting back home, and he's calling me an hour later saying, Mom, I'm done. Come get me. Excuse me? So I go back and get him, and this happened twice.
Oh, my God. And
I picked him up and everything. We got his test results back, and he was like above average on all of the testing. So thank goodness he paid attention when he was in school. He just didn't do any of the work. But anyway, and I struggled with that, like I said, in high school too. When I'm really like you, passionate and about something, I excel at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm not interested, I'm just tuning that shit out,
Yeah. And that's just, I've always struggled keeping a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, a lot of people get shamed for that.
Yeah. Because you're not doing the society norm, right? Mm-hmm. The normal. Yeah.
And I really am just trying my best.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you handle your child then? You're still figuring it out?
I struggle quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
Another thing too that's really difficult for me is keeping a consistent routine.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be really hard for the kids too.
Yeah.
And so some days like I do really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other days where I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I just have to sit here. And then like it's almost like it's a cycle for me. Like I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this day. I'm going to keep on routine. And then I don't know what it is.
Can you keep on what would be the right word for it? Like kind of a routine, but like, I want to do this today, but it's okay when I do it. It doesn't have to be in the morning. I don't have to do it at, 10 a.m. I don't have to do it at noon.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it at 5. I want to accomplish this today, but it will happen when it happens.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Sometimes.
Like when you don't maybe feel pressure I've got to have this done by this time or whatever,
Yeah.
See, and I do love routines.
I know you do. And it's funny because when you had a routine for me when I was a kid, it was fine. But now that I'm an adult, I have adult responsibilities. It's different.
Interesting.
And then I have kids now.
Yeah.
Because like it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yep. I do love a good routine. And I think I've gotten more that way now that all the kids are out of the house and it's just me and Chris. And like we went to the trip to Arizona, we left Friday afternoon and got back Monday later at night. And I was not in my environment, not my routine. And I was exhausted when I got home.
Really?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like randomly do something. As
Mm-hmm.
long as like sometimes I have to talk myself into it because of my anxiety.
Uh-huh.
But when I do it, I'm like, yeah, I can't do the same thing every day. And I feel like that's part of like being
Yeah. Yeah.
so I get really depressed when I'm at a job where I have to do the same thing day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm not living life.
Yeah. You're just doing the motions of it, right? Yeah, that's hard.
I don't know how I did that one job I did.
I don't
at
either.
home.
No, because we're talking about
At
it.
home for so long. I was really depressed, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was really hard for me like to keep up with all of it.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember you working like on Christmas. Didn't you have to work on Christmas or something?
Sometimes. Well, it'd only be for like an hour or two. Usually.
But still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like as I've gotten older, I like my metal music harder, my rock music harder, and my routines more.
One thing though, I feel like finding that specific thing that I love for my routine, because like for some reason I love Pilates.
Yeah.
And I've been sticking to it. I mean,
Good.
I did kind of stop doing it for a couple weeks, but as long as I like do it in the first thing, like when I get up.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
well,
for
it
some
might
reason,
well, it's good for you obviously, but maybe it gives you that little boost for the day.
Yeah, it
to
does
help you
give me
get
a lot of
get
energy.
going. I feel that way too when I did the Pilates this morning and I can feel it in my body.
Yeah.
It does help. Excuse me, get us going.
Yeah, and I didn't do it today, but I most days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely makes me feel better to be active, for sure. So,
So what type of label do you think that you've struggled with?
That's a good one. Probably. Ooh, I'm gonna have to think about this one for a minute. Label I've struggled with.
While you're thinking about that, I'll just
check the comments.
Doreen says, "Girl, I have ADHD and we do things at our own pace."
Yay!
So you relate. So I'm like,
she's like, I get it, girl. I got you.
And then Jaleesa, she's just saying you need horses and
animals. I feel like are good to have around for sure.
Yeah.
Or to be around animals because they don't label us.
Right.
Right.
Just be you.
Yeah. Yeah. They just love us no matter what. Label have I struggled with? I don't know that maybe, I guess this would be a label, not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
Because in a previous marriage, I didn't feel like I was good enough and I didn't feel like, I wasn't supported. But yeah, that's probably the one that I mostly struggled with the most. It's not being good enough.
Yeah. I struggle with that too.
Yeah. And that comes from, the outside and then our own thoughts, then where we start believing what other people are saying.
Was it just because like there were certain things that were said and or you didn't feel good enough because they didn't act a certain way, or was that
things that were said and actions for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because your husband now
Mm-hmm.
treats you how you should.
Yes, he does. Third time was the charm.
And I will not settle down till I have that.
Yep. Yep. And I feel like too, he set a good example too
Yeah.
for you as kids, all my kids,
Mm-hmm.
it as to how you should be treated, in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, respected, right?
Yep.
You don't have to be exactly like each other. You don't, although we are a lot alike in several different ways,
Right.
but just always being able to support each other with whatever that is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd say that's probably the one I've struggled with the most and the longest,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. Another label, I think, is shy.
Yeah, I get that one for sure.
Yeah, yeah, being shy. And I've called all of my kids shy. Well, not Jeremy.
Yeah, he's definitely.
He's the one that would tell anybody anything in the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
line. And then, looking back on that, it's like, oh, I've labeled my kids over the years, not meaning to be hurtful,
Right. No. Yeah.
But when you really think about it, we really have to be so careful with what we say and what comes out of our mouths to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if someone does try to or puts a label on us, we have to be very careful not to accept that label or stick it on us, right?
Yeah.
And carry it around with us.
Like that's just their perception of you. It doesn't mean it's true.
And that goes back to kind of the I am perfect. I am,
See, sometimes I feel like, and I know you're not, but sometimes it seems like you got it all together, like, and that you're perfect. And I know you're not. But
wow.
sometimes I feel like, yeah, like I definitely know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, too, you being my mom, it kind of sets a different standard because you don't, I mean, you're not going to share everything about your life to me because we have a different kind of relationship. Like, you're not going to tell everything, like, to me that you would tell Harry, basically.
I probably would, actually.
Well, for example, sometimes I don't know that you're going through a hard time.
Okay.
Like if you are, for example. And so I'm like, do you ever, like, you just seem like you always have it put together.
I'm going to be super honest. And I feel like this year I have been pretty put together.
Yeah.
I really do. And the one reason for that is because I've given it to the universe.
Right.
I've given it to my guides. I've given it to my angels. I've let go. I truly have let go. And the one I don't want to say worry, that's not the right word, but I do think about all my kids.
Yeah.
And their situations and only want the best for them. And, I want this to work out for this one and this and, that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot too because you've got 5
Yes.
of them.
Yeah. So I do think about that. Yes. But I can honestly say that this year, once I finally learned to let go, it's a life changer. If you can get to that point. Yes. If you can get to that point. And it's not easy. And when things start kind of slipping and, going down the hill, it's like I have to remind myself.
Yeah.
Let it go. Leave it up to the higher powers.
And I've been like trying to do that more, but it's like sometimes you get put in those survival situations.
Yeah.
And it's very hard.
Especially you're still raising 2 kids and yeah, it's a different a little bit different situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel too that I should, that's the wrong word too. Let me see, how should I say this? I feel like that I also still want to support my children, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I
Yeah.
can,
Right.
with whatever that is. So there's, I guess that's a little bit of pressure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
You know. But anyway, so yeah, but I feel great.
And one thing that this podcast in general has taught me is that, like, you can only get so far by yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
having community and support really does get you a lot farther.
It's huge. And that's why we're here, because we want people to be able to share, not be labeled by, I'm this religion or that religion, or I only believe in
Yeah.
this, or there's no labels here.
Right. We just want to learn from you.
Yes. We just want everybody to learn from everybody, because there's just so many different things out there. And the more we know, the better off we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more we can learn and grow from each other, it just helps us to manage, difficult situations, and how we handle ourselves with different things, and how we get away from those labels, I feel like.
Yeah. And Taco says being shy comes from not owning who you are and everything you are.
Yes.
That's a good perspective.
That is, yes.
Because I've
That's
learned
perfect.
to accept that recently.
Mhm.
Like, there's certain situations where I'm like, I don't have to go there and talk to everybody. Like, I can just be me.
Yeah. That is so true.
Mhm.
That is so accepting yourself and loving yourself, and not having to worry about the labels from other people,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
being you
Mm-hmm.
and being happy with being you, for sure.
And she says, that's so beautiful. You look at your mom in that way.
Oh.
And I think as we get older, the more we realize what is actually important. It's so true.
That is very
I
true
feel like
too.
after you hit 30, you kind of just keep going through all these awakenings, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
what? What was I doing? I mean, you go through your experiences and you're like, oh, like, I got this out of that or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes you feel like you're being dumb too. But, like, I feel like after 30 and as you get older and older, you just realize more and more.
It's so true. I remember when you and Jeremy were little.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, people. They had to be clean. They had to be have clean clothes on. Their hair had to be perfect. Anytime we walked out of the house, we all had to be perfect.
But there's also something good that came out of that, though.
What?
It taught me how to take care of myself, my hygiene, because when there's a lot of people that struggle just to brush their teeth every day.
Yeah, I have a son that way.
And so I have to brush my teeth. I mean, there's days where I'm like at home and I'm like,
Yeah.
But most of the time I'm brushing my teeth and taking care of those basic needs.
Yeah.
So that is a good thing that came out of it, just so you know.
Yes, they myself too. We wouldn't go anywhere without them being perfectly perfect.
Yeah.
But I was super young then. And then I wouldn't go anywhere without, having my face makeup and my hair done and everything. And now Saturday morning, I'm up cleaning stuff with the big old bun on my head. Well, it's not big, but anyway, no makeup, or maybe I slip in my makeup from the night before.
I've done that lots of
Doesn't
times.
happen often, but it happens. And let's go to the store, babe. We need to get something, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I do.
If it's Walmart too, I'm like, I don't care. It's just Walmart.
Yeah, I feel like I'm much different now, being older, just because you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care about being labeled anymore, right?
Right.
Loving yourself, like Taco says. So yeah.
Although there is some times where I'm like, maybe I should get a little cute. Maybe I'll meet somebody.
Maybe there's a Prince Charming out there that you're going to run into. But the Prince Charming would love you no matter if you have makeup on or not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The right person.
That's funny.
Yeah, Jaleesa says, or I already read that, but Michelle said, I can so relate to not being good enough.
Yeah. Yep. I felt that for several years, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you feel that way, it's really hard to like.
It's hard to get out of it.
Yeah, because you have these expectations of yourself.
And
it's hard to let go of.
Yeah. And you get down to that lowest point. And then you start believing everything. And how do you pull yourself back out of that? And that is something where the spirituality has helped me grow so much.
Yeah.
Believing in myself again. And that's another thing with doing all of this, the podcast stuff. You know, people, I've been like this for a few years, but I've never dared to share it with anybody. Because I don't want to get the crazy label.
Right, and there's your other label.
Yeah. So that's something that I've had to let go of too, of ripping that label off to do what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Putting myself out there and being vulnerable and, you know, whatever people think. Now, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
And if you lose friends over it, oh well.
You lose the right people.
Exactly. But then look at the community of good friends that you gain, like-minded people, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's awesome.
So, did you want to pull cards or should we?
We're probably getting close to time to wrap up. Yeah, we've been at it for about an hour. So does anybody have any questions or comments before we go? I've seen some stuff popping up over there on the computer.
Or maybe we can answer just one question. Okay. There's really not that many people.
Okay.
On here,
so who's got a question for us?
If there's anybody. If
you want to ask a question. We'll wait for a second and see if a question pops through.
Yeah. And if you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I have cards right here. And we like to, whenever we team up with this, we like to kind of like have me pull a card and then see if it lines up. If she gets something that lines up with it. Yeah. We actually did. Fun.
Yeah. We actually have done a couple readings where... Well, one time we did a reading where we were sitting together and she was doing the cards and then I was tuning in. And then the other time, Chelsea would pull the cards first and then they'd come see me, but we weren't together. And they'd be like, oh, well, that's what Chelsea, you know, that's what the card would, you know, anyway. So it's fun and interesting to see how that all lines up when we do that.
It's fun, I think.
Yep.
It almost feels like a little game to me.
I know, huh?
I'm not getting any questions. So.
Okay, and that's okay. That is okay. So, again, reminders, go to our YouTube channel, please. We want some followers or subscribers, excuse me. Go to the platforms and follow us, comment, share our stuff. And I know that can be vulnerable, right?
Yeah, because
share our posts. Yeah, because it's kind of taboo out there still. But
it is getting a lot more mainstream, though.
It is.
Like
finally,
I will see like shows and they're like talking about astrology, and I'm like, when did this become a thing?
I know. Well, even celebrities too. I'm finding out more and more celebrities they have a spiritual side. Yep, which is amazing. But anyway, go to the webpage, howdoyouspirit.com, if you have questions, are interested in readings. We also have a Google page, and I was working on it this morning a little bit. We're going to start posting stuff on there as well. So anyway, we want to hear from you.
We want people on the YouTube too.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's growing really slowly, but we're we're going to put really cool stuff on there. So
Yeah, we again, we have lots of ideas. It just takes some time. But reach out to us next Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Cat and Cauldron will be with us. And then we also have another special guest next Friday as well.
yes.
At 1 o'clock. So super excited to meet him. And we have more stuff coming. Hopefully Colton's condo Sunday, spooky hunting there, which I want Chris to come. I'm like, you should come with us. Come check us out. Come watch. So we'll see. Yeah, so we'll see what he says. I just want him to be able to experience it with Taco, and how she works.
Right.
How she does her little thing. But anyway, thank you so much. And remember, we're on all of your favorite podcast platforms as well. And we will see all of you soon. And sending love to all of you. We're so grateful for you joining and your comments. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.